quite a different Baboró to what we had anticipated, but delighted that you could all join us from wherever you are today. So this is the first of our online delegate events as part of the festival. I'm just going to run through a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll get started. So you've all come in with your mics off at the moment, so I just ask you to do that unless you're called on to speak. Just to let you know that this session is being recorded and will be available on our Baboró website. So we're delighted to welcome you to the 24th Baboró Festival. It's quite a different festival this year for various different reasons. And today you are going to meet a selection of artists who, some of whom have performed this year, some of whom will perform this year, some of whom were to perform this year, and sadly, for various reasons, can't now. But we wanted to give you a little taste of the festival from afar. So I'm just going to cast our minds back, first of all, to the 23rd festival, which was this time last year in 2019, just to remind us of the breadth, I suppose, of the festival last year, and a festival that I know that a lot of you would have attended in great numbers. So last year, over 7 days, we had an audience of 23,743 people partaking in our events in Galway throughout the city and the county over 7 days. We had performances of dance, theatre, we had music, we had film, visual art, discussions like this in theatres, and lots of workshops as well. We hosted 14 companies with 131 artists on 110 performances, 2 visual art exhibitions, a company that were artists in residence, Junk Ensemble. Megan is here today they were working on a new work. We had 63 lovely delegates, some of whom are here joining us today. And we also kicked off our European Capital project, our European Capital of Culture 2020 project. That seems like a long, long time ago now, but it was a wonderful festival, and it was one of the things that I just love about festival. One of my favorite parts of the festival is on Monday morning seeing lines of children walking hand in hand in their school uniforms at 9 a.m. going to see shows, and just the excitement and the anticipation of going to a theatre. They might have got off a bus from Roscommon, 100 miles away, or they might have got off a boat from the Aran Islands, and just that excitement and thrill of seeing a live event. We've had to forego some of that this year, but we have lots on offer, including this event today. So just to talk very briefly about what's happened since. So obviously when we got the news about everything shutting down, coming to an abrupt halt here in Ireland and across the world, we had to make some very quick decisions about our international performance and the artists who were going to partake in the festival, and we had to cancel those immediately in March. Which was a really awful thing to have to do. We then went into kind of redesign mode, I suppose, and we spoke with a lot of the artists who were involved in the original program, Irish artists, also some international artists, and we tried to investigate, I suppose, what it is that we could deliver this year. And so we were very conscious of really wanting to keep as much in-person live events as possible, although people were very generously putting a lot of work online. Unless work is really designed for that space, we felt it was difficult to replicate the live experience, the shared feeling of being in the room. And so eventually we came up with the program, which we launched just a week later than usual at the beginning of September. And we were very optimistic, perhaps now a bit naive, but certainly optimistic about what we could achieve and the kind of audiences that we could welcome in small numbers and very safely into our venues. And we did manage to have some in-person events. We had audiences. Last week we had Anna Newell's Sing Me to the Sea for children with additional needs, which you'll hear about in a little while. In very small audiences of 3 people and their families or carers outside. We had 2 shows of The Wild Garden Adventure for an audience of 18 in the Moonfish Theatre. And we had 2 days of She Crashes In and Fizzles Out, a beautiful installation and art show in the Galway Arts Centre that will be available as a virtual tour shortly. So that is, I guess, we are now at a point where we've had to cancel all of our in theatre and in gallery events, and so we have a little bit of outdoor with a community art project, Colour My Life, Brighten Your Day, and we also have a lot of online and really great interactive online offerings. So without further ado, I'm going to move on now and invite Shona Nivrian, who is the head of Young People, Children and Education in the Arts Council, just to say a few words of welcome before we start talking with our artists who've come here today. Thank you. Sorry, Shona, if you can unmute.
Sorry, for some reason it wouldn't let me unmute. Can you hear me now? Yeah, good stuff. Lovely to see you all. I've actually written a couple of notes because I thought I won't be able to make eye contact anyway, so I might as well be clear as good as I can. Aislinn, thanks so much for inviting me to say a few words of welcome, and I'm really looking forward to listening to the artists who are presenting today. As Aislinn mentioned there, I work as Head of Young People, Children and Education in the Arts Council, and for those of you who are tuning in from abroad, the Arts Council is the national agency in Ireland for developing the arts in Ireland, and Baboro is funded through the Arts Council Strategic Funding Programme because of the important role it plays in Irish and international artists creating work for children, and also because of the developmental role it plays in enabling artists to come together and learn from each other by experiencing and thinking about the work of both Irish and international artists through this delegate programme. Our funding programmes also support a wide range of individual artists and arts organisations, or we're planning to. Culture Ireland then, who is co-hosting this event with Baboro, plays a complementary role in terms of promoting the work of Irish artists abroad. But just on behalf of the Arts Council, I just want to say how much we all respect and admire the incredible resilience, creativity, thinking and imagination that the arts sector has shown in responding to the current crisis. There's so much that we all continue to try to figure out, and we really are having to put our creative thinking to the test while also just trying to keep going. In terms of a skill set, I think the arts sector has what it takes, though it doesn't mean it's not exhausting. We are used to trying things and not being too sure what the outcome is going to be. We know that even when we think about every single detail, everything right, sometimes things work out differently to what we expected. It's very hard to plan like this, and I just hats off to everyone who has been planning, adapting, adjusting, rethinking. Artists creating work for and with children are particularly used to coming up with audience or participant or child focused ways of working, and we're trying to ensure that the supports are there for you to continue to find ways to develop your practice and ideas in the current circumstances, to create relevant, find ways to continue to connect with the public, whether virtually or in tiny groups or in whatever way you safely can. So do take a look at funding programmes on the Arts Council website, and there are new supports there like the Professional Award and the Capacity Building Award, And many thanks to all of the artists who have applied for bursaries and projects in the area of YPCE, which we were able to expand this year. So I really look forward to hearing the presentations today, and thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Shona. Really appreciate that. So to begin, I'm going to ask Emma Martin and Padraig Heneghan from United Fall to begin. And Emma, I think you're going to tell us a little bit about Bird Boy.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks so much for having us here, Aislinn. It's lovely to be here despite the week of upheavals and disappointments. My name is Emma Martin and I'm the Artistic Director of United Fall. We're based out in the countryside in County Carlow, and we're quite near Visual Art Centre, which we feel very lucky to have such a great place to work out in such a rural area, and we spent a number of months there making the show. So Bird Boy is our first show for young audiences, and it came about because I have, well, at the time my daughter was 8, and I wanted to make something that herself and her pals could watch and enjoy. It was such, well, it was a scary proposal at first, I think, to make a kid show, because I'd never really gone into that world before, but it then ended up being a really rewarding experience, and hopefully we'll create more work for kids in the future. So the show, it's about, I think, it's about not fitting in, being alone and retreating out of the real world and into the world of the imagination. We experience the character of Bird Boy in this exhausting process of trying to discover and accept himself. When I set out to make the show, I wanted it to be a really exciting visual and sensory experience. And although it's a one-person show, there's an intricate, a very interactive and intricate sound design by Dunk Murphy and a visual design by Orla Clogher that the performer plays off. That performer is the incredible dancer and physical actor, I would say, Kevin Coquillard. And over the course of a number of months, the two of us had a really deep collaboration and loads of fun making the show. And although it's for kids, we didn't want to censor ourselves or hold back too much. So we gave ourselves loads of freedom to enter into the absurd universe of children's cartoons and a kid's imagination, and sort of all the busyness and sensory overload that sometimes they might experience. But we always wanted to make sure that we were seeing it from a kid's perspective. So we had a number of works in progress showings where we'd invite, you know, a small group of kids in, and then kids and parents, and I think, you know, some adults got a lot out of the show as well. So it can be enjoyable for both kids and adults, hopefully. We're really proud of it, and we'd love to share it with loads of kids and adults in the future. And I'm going to paste a link to our trailer in the chat, so you can have a look at that, and then I'll hand over to Padraig. Thanks.
Thanks, Emma. My name is Padraig Heneghan, and I am the producer with United Fall. Bird Boy is available for touring now. As Emma said, it just has one performer, and in all there are just 4 in the traveling company. It has a minimal set, which is essentially a car, and even that has been cut in 2 to allow for an easier and a quicker get in and get out. We had planned on touring Bird Boy to 4 venues in Ireland this week and next, but we will have to reschedule that now into 2021. We have a pack for Bird Boy, including a tech rider that we can send out to anyone who's interested as well. Finally, I'd like to thank, and myself and Emma would like to thank Baboro, Culture Ireland, and all at the Arts Council for their help and support in enabling us to create and to show Bird Boy. And thank you very much for your interest in Bird Boy and in United Fall. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Emma and Padraig. And you know, it's so difficult to describe work such as Bird Boy and all of the work that we're going to be talking about. And it's just so unfortunate that we're not all going to be in a room together watching and just feeling the energy of that fantastic show. But before too long, we hope. So thanks so much for that. Next, I'm going to call on Paul McEneany. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Paul. I should have checked my pronunciations before I began. From Cahoots, Northern Ireland. And he's going to tell us about the University of Wonder and Imagination, which is still part of this year's festival, I'm glad to say.
Thank you, Aislinn. Yes, you got it 100% right. Paul Bosco McEneany. I'm speaking to you live from Armagh, beautiful county of Armagh. I'm the artistic director of Cahoots NI, who are based in Belfast. And we are, well, just realised we're about to turn 20. So this is our birthday year. So delighted to be young. So yeah, it's so lovely to see so many faces, and I share exactly what Aislinn just said. It would be brilliant to be in a foyer somewhere talking to you all in person. But as things stand, this is where we are. I'm here to talk a little bit about the University of Wonder and Imagination, which is a show that I didn't know that I was going to be doing 2 months ago. It's quite literally a show that has been born out of the realities that we find ourselves in right now. When the pandemic first struck, we were in the middle of some international touring. We had a brand new piece of work about to tour in the north of Ireland. And as was the case for everybody else, everything went pear-shaped. So I think after a number of weeks and having watched some incredible work that was happening online, the University of Imagination and Wonder was, I guess, or the Wonder and Imagination, I can't get the title right. It's that new, was something that I think was a creative response to what was happening, and what I wanted to do was to create real engagement with our audience. So what is it? It's first and foremost, it's a venue. We moved out of our offices in Belfast and found a new location where there were 9 separate rooms within this building that we could send in our key creatives, our designers, to design sets for each of those rooms, our sound engineer to go in and work on sound in those rooms. All of our technical capabilities basically moved into that location, and then we started scripting a piece whereby we could employ performers to come in and be safe, to socially distance and to perform. And what we've ended up with is this mad concoction, which is a mixture of digital media meets live interactive family entertainment. The premise is that you enter into a secret location that is a university that has been secretive for the last 200 years. It's small groups. There are only 6 devices enter the university at a time. So if 6 devices enter at 3 o'clock, another 6 devices will enter at 3:30. But the first group that come in will have a free selection. In fact, everybody will have a free selection of what rooms they wish to visit. And when they go to those rooms, they will interact live for 10, 12 minutes at a time with a performer. So that's it. I mean, it opened on Sunday. So if I look a little burnt out and tired, it's because of that. But I mean, one of the things I have to say is I think I was quite anti the idea of online theatre. I mean, it's and I don't want it to become what it is we do. But I have to say I'm genuinely surprised and have become a little more passionate about it and protecting it as a new potential art form. So I'll say no more about it and hope you all enjoy it when you come to see it.
Thanks very much, Paul. That's great. And that experience is live or available to view through our Baboro website from Monday. It's running Monday to Saturday next week. So you can access a pass and turn up with your family, ideally, or with a group of friends or yourself, and enjoy the experience. And yeah, we're really, really looking forward to having it as part of the festival, both for families and schools, and the take up through schools actually has been really fantastic. So thanks very much, Paul. Next, I'm going to ask Anna Newell to tell us a little bit about a show that actually happened last week and wowed our very small audiences in a garden outside a hotel in Galway. Thanks, Anna.
Hi, so I'm Anna Newell and I'm a theatre maker based in Bray. I've only been in the south of Ireland for 4 years, so I'll start with a little bit about myself. I've been making theatre adventures for all kinds of different audiences for 31 years, and for the past 10 with a really strong emphasis on work for babies, for early years, and for kids with PMLD, profound and multiple learning difficulties. My work has been seen on 6 continents and off Broadway. I was the first artist in Ireland to create work specifically for this audience of kids with complex needs. And when I'm making work for any of my audiences, I would have a load of creative consultation with those audiences right from the beginning. So they really inspire and inform the piece, and actually sometimes even more. When I was making the very first piece 8 or 9 years ago for this audience, I was doing some really early creative consultation in a PMLD classroom. And suddenly these kids revealed to me what I think theatre is. And for me, theatre is one human being connecting with another, and that's it. And my job, I feel, is in every single detail to create the optimum conditions for that to happen, for that connection to happen. So shows like Sing Me to the Sea they're immersive and they're sensory, but more than anything, they're really responsive. So for example, in Sing Me to the Sea, we have a really gorgeous original vocal score that is sung live throughout the show. And that pretty much remains the same from show to show. But everything else changes. Everything else is nuanced moment by moment by the performers in response to the audience. And so we create a situation where those children and young people can choose their own journey through that very gentle theatre adventure, which we are delighted that parents and teachers have been calling magical and mesmerising. And often the parents and the teachers tell us that the experience elicits responses from their pupils or their children that they have genuinely never seen before. Sing Me to the Sea specifically began life a couple of years ago as a hydropool show. So 3 audience members, each with an adult guest, 3 performers, everybody in the water. And we were scheduled to do a national tour of Ireland of hydropools for 7 weeks this summer. And then of course, everything changed. And for a long time, I didn't really know what to do. And then I remembered how much I bang on about how responsive the work is, how the work is flexible, how it's utterly bespoke. And I realized that what I needed to do this summer was to take that to a whole other level. And I am eternally grateful to my funders, particularly the Arts Council, to my partner venues, particularly my producing partner, the Civic, and to festival programmers like Baboro, who took this enormous leap of faith with and on me. We toured Sing Me to the Sea for 5 weeks this August and September. We spent 3 weeks driving around Dublin and Carlow and Meath and Wicklow in green tutus, taking a reimagined dry land version, if you would, version of the show directly to families' gardens, to their driveways. Then we found ourselves back in the pool, singing in masks and visors as part of Bula Bosch. And of course, last week we were privileged enough, and whilst we didn't know it at the time, lucky enough to be in the beautiful gardens of the Ardalawn Hotel for Baboro. And actually what was most inspiring for me about last week in Baboro was that despite everything that they're dealing with, the appetite from the special schools for this kind of experience for their pupils was such that not only did we sell out our school's performances, but we actually had to put on more to fulfill the demand. And we played to audiences from 2 years old to 20 years old. We did indeed sing in the rain. And more than anything, working within the new guidelines, we found extraordinary and precious moments of connection at this time of disconnection and distance. And it was magic. And I so wish that the rest of Baboro was happening in the way that was anticipated, but I cannot wait to see what happens over the next couple of weeks as both the other artists and the festival continue to innovate, to respond, and to bring magical work to the children of Galway.
Thanks so much, Anna. That was a really fantastic description of the show, and indeed we had amazing responses from schools and families last week, and we were delighted that we were able to get in early. And as you say, we didn't realise how lucky we were at the time. I'm going to move on now and ask Joanna Williams to talk to us. Joanna and her colleagues, her artists, were to be part of our original programme for Baboro in October. So she's going to tell us a little bit about that performance, Moon Woke Me Up. Thanks.
Hi everyone. I'm Joanna Williams, and I'm based in Tipperary, and I've been making theatre for early years audiences, specifically sort of 3 to 5 year olds, for around 20 years now. And the work I make as Little Big Top. And so the show that I'm going to talk to you about today is Moon Woke Me Up. It was a really, really fun piece. It's a collaboration with Joanna Parks and Orla Kelly. And initially it was part of a week that the Civic have, where they invited companies to create short 15-minute pieces that might be the seed of an idea. And we were really delighted that they then worked with us to produce it and to realise the full imagined piece that we had in mind. And then with funding from the Arts Council, we were able to tour it nationally around Ireland last year. Now we got 7 of our 10 venues, so we were delighted that we went that far with it. We were sad not to finish for our week in the Civic and a number of other venues, and of course not to be in Baboro this year. But I'll tell you a bit about the show. It started with the idea of exploring an idea to do with the moon, and I came across a little haiku that went, "Moon woke me up 9 times, it's still 4 a.m. And I started to think about all the things that a little person might imagine about the moon, and I wanted to write a piece that's a little bit like a picture book that children that age read, with 9 different imaginings of what it might be like to go to the moon. And in the live show, I tell that little tale using little bits of tabletop puppetry to illustrate it. And we kind of use that then as a jumping off point to involve the children and to give them this amazing, playful sensory journey. And my work is very much driven by play. I started out in circus, which is all about playing with objects, and in the work that I make for young audiences, it's very much about playing with objects and creating immersive sensory experiences and kind of reconnecting adults with that world of discovery and imagination that children at that young age have. So that this piece was designed to do that. And so Joanna Parks, because there's 2 Joannas, just to make it confusing, she works a lot in participatory drama with early years. So she took on the role of that kind of facilitation of speaking with the children and getting them to join her on this journey of imagination and talking about what the moon might be like and what if we were to go there. And so she brings the children along on that journey. And then we kind of, when we decide to go to the moon, I've been doing these workshops with early years, exploring architecture and different kind of small and large scale construction play and den making. And I'd created this giant version of Connect Straws using using kind of foam connectors and the insides of rolls of fabrics. And so I refined that, and the children get to join with us and build this rocket and then cover it in fabrics. And then they get into roll with Joanna and they go inside this rocket. And it's really cute because they're all going beep, 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 testing their little buttons, testing their oxygen. And they're really in there in the rocket. Some of the adults go in with them if they need that support. Others remain outside this space. And once they're all settled and they've taken off, we make a shadow show on the roof of the rocket. So they get to see this shadow show of stars and aliens and different things. And the really nice thing is that the audience outside get this kind of backstage view of how a shadow and the mechanics of how a shadow show is made. And then I worked with Orla, who, like me, really likes to make big immersive sensory environments for early years. And so we collaborated together to create this immersive sensory environment that the children would emerge from the rocket in. And we created this big floor cloth that's made of foam that rolls out. So the space is transformed from a black box into this white sensory floor with all different sensory patches. We lower hammocks into the spaces. And then Orla had made 5 sensory pods exploring light and sound. We have recorded sounds from outer space that we got from NASA, and visual little things. So I've got a little picture because I did make a little book. So this is the rocket, a drawing of the rocket that we make. And this is a drawing of some of the hammocks and the sensory pods that the children explore. And when they come out of the rocket, we invite all the adults to join their children in the space. And we have this just free play, exploring all these sensory objects. And the transformation of the space is really, really remarkable. So for the children coming out of the rocket, even though they've only been in there for 4.5 minutes, it's an utter surprise to see this transformation. And we facilitate the play in as much as we kind of guide it through 4 phases. So the first one is just encouraging that exploration, modeling the different things you might do with the different sensory experiences. And then we have rolling on the floor, and we encourage everyone to get down on the floor and explore the nature of the sensory floor and roll around on it. And then we bring out some shadow puppets and torches, and the lights are lowered and the children get to explore the shadow. And we finish up with dancing on the moon and a little recall before they leave. So that's the show in a nutshell. And it's really fun. We really enjoy performing it. And hopefully we look forward to performing it again in the future. So
thanks so much, Joanna.
Okay.
I remember seeing it in the Ark, and that the complete surprise of the audience when they came out and realised they'd landed on the moon. Or thought so. Great. I'm going to move on quickly because I've probably been talking too much and we're beginning to run over a little bit. So I'm going to go straight to Megan from Junk Ensemble.
Thanks, Aisling. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to Baboró and Culture Ireland for hosting the event. I'm Megan Kennedy, and I'm co-artistic director of Junk Ensemble alongside my twin sister Jessica Kennedy. I'm here today to talk to you about The Veiled Ones. Junk Ensemble creates brave and imaginative dance theatre that tells stories exploring the human condition through a rich mix of movement, visual, and performance elements. Our work is characterised by a deeply crafted, collaborative, creative process, whereby we work closely with artists from other disciplines. As a result, our productions are multi-layered with a strong visual element, inviting a rich experience for the audience. We often create productions for non-theatre spaces in addition to traditional theatre spaces. Some examples of our work performed in unconventional spaces are Bird with Boy, performed in the basement of Kilmainham Jail and a crumbling Georgian house in Dublin. Dolores in the Chocolate Factory, a converted warehouse space. Sometimes We Break in the gallery space at Tate Britain, and Man at the Door in an old working bingo hall in Cork. We have frequently integrated non-professional performers into the creation and performance of our productions. For example, in the Following Song, we worked with local children choirs at each venue. And similarly, for our touring production of Birdwood Boy, we worked with a different group of local boys between the ages of 9 and 14. For our large-scale dance opera, A Different World, in collaboration with Dumb World, performed at Cork Opera House as part of Cork Midsummer Festival, the 100-strong ensemble comprised of adult and children's choirs from different parts of Cork City. The show I'm here to speak to you about, The Veiled Ones, is loosely informed by Roald Dahl's playful and occasionally gruesome novel, The Witches. The Veiled Ones explores the idea of the female witch and the powerful relationship between a grandparent and a grandchild. The production is specifically created for young audiences. It is designed for a non-traditional setting and will be presented promenade style, with the audience walking through intricately designed rooms and corridors with live music accompanying the performance. The cast includes 4 acclaimed professional dancers and actors, 2 young performers, and 2 live musicians. The show will appeal to children who are aged 8 onwards, families, dance and theatre audiences, and visual arts audiences. It is suitable for presentation in flexible theatre spaces, multi-art form venues, art centres, and dance and theatre festivals. The Veiled Ones is funded by the Arts Council of Ireland and Dublin City Council. It is commissioned by Baboro International Arts Festival for Children and is supported by Tracks, Galway 2020, Dance Ireland, and Project Arts Centre. The Veiled Ones will perform at the following Irish festivals in 2021: Cork Midsummer Festival in June, Dublin Fringe Festival in September, and Baboro International Arts Festival for Children next October. We can present practical workshops and masterclasses, talks, and post-show discussions to complement the performance. We are available to tour The Veiled Ones after its presentation at Baboro Festival in October 2021. Some of our ongoing and upcoming projects include choreography for Sean Dunn's new commission for the Arc called What Did I Miss?, which is part of Dublin Theatre Festival's programme this year. We've recently been commissioned by Irish Arts Centre New York to create a new dance film for their initiative, Grasta. Our choreography for film work includes the feature film Wildfire, directed by Kathy Brady, which just premiered at Toronto International Film Festival. Thank you for your time, and please do drop us a line at any point if you'd like to know anything further or to have a chat.
Thanks so much, Megan. And we're so looking forward to The Veiled Ones finally getting onto stages next year. It's been a long wait. Next, I'm going to ask Michael Ford just to talk to us a little bit about the Wild Garden Adventure, which happily played to 2 audiences in the McEneany Theatre on Monday. Part of the festival.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm Michael James Ford. I'm an actor, writer, and director. Been active in the Irish theatre for nearly 40 years. And I've worked with all sorts of theatre companies, but in recent times I've developed a number of small-scale touring projects, self-produced, including the Picture of Dorian Gray and Poe Show and Baradan's Ass and various pieces, spoken word pieces with the Delmain String Quartet. And I have a particular interest in Oscar Wilde. And in the past, I toured with my own version of The Happy Prince and The Remarkable Rocket, which have gone to various places: Finland, France, Egypt, America, and the UK. But the Wild Garden Adventure is the name given to a new initiative, a new project, and the idea was to stage 2 of Wilde's greatest stories for children, The Happy Prince and The Selfish Giant. And it was conceived back in the early summer as something we could do in gardens. It was aimed at outdoor performance. So we joined the long-established Happy Prince with a new production of The Selfish Giant, in which I collaborated with my wife, the well-known actor and theatre maker Barbara Miquel. And we worked alongside a violinist called Philip Dodd and the puppet maker Martin Cahill to try and create a seamless double bill of Wildian storytelling for all ages that can be presented in these socially distanced times. And those stories, if you don't know them, they're probably the best known of all Wilde's stories for children. The Happy Prince is the story of a gregarious swallow who befriends a melancholy statue while he's on his way to Egypt, and he learns profound truths about the nature of love and sacrifice. And it's done in quite an energized physical style. I worked with Stephen Burkhoff on his Salome many years ago, and that certainly has influenced the style. Then we've tried to marry the style of the two shows, and in The Selfish Giant, I'm joined on stage by Barbara and 3 endearing puppet children created by Martin, the Geppetto of Drumcondra. And together we try and inhabit Wilde's wonderful fairy tale in which a grumpy giant is changed forever through the innocence and friendship of children. And both stories are full of Wildian wit and humour, and they're underscored by this haunting live violin score arranged and performed by Philip Dodd with music by Sergei Prokofiev and Camille Saint-Saëns. And the garden theme, not only was that the inspiration behind the show, but it's central to our desire to celebrate the green shoots of re-emergent live theatre. And our first performances took place in a range of beautiful outdoor venues, including the walled garden of Roundwood House, an 18th century farmyard in County Meath, the outfield of Leinster Cricket Club, and a number of private gardens in Dublin city and county. And then since then, we've taken the show to various conventional theatre settings and featured in family festivals in Skibbereen, Limerick, the Museum of Literature, and of course, last week, most happily, in the McEneany Theatre as part of Baboró. For indoor presentation, we often use a spectacular backdrop created by the landscape painter Jack Kerwin and a very simple but effective lighting plot. Now, the whole show fits into a car, can be set up in a couple of hours, and we're very keen to keep traveling and to bring the wonder of Wilde to audiences young and old, wherever they may be. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Michael James. That was great. I'm going to move on and ask Mairéad Folan now to tell us a little bit about Meet Luke. Mairéad was due to do a rehearsed reading, should I say, as part of our emerging strand this week.
Thanks, Aisling, and thanks to Baboro and Culture Ireland for hosting this event. I'm Mairéad Folan, Artistic Director of No Ropes Theatre Company. This is the 5th year of No Ropes' existence. Our ethos is to challenge accepted understandings in society and the boundaries that they can impose through the production of original, innovative, and little-known dramatic works. To date, No Rope has staged 2 Irish premieres, 1 world premiere, and a transfer from Edinburgh Fringe. I'm here today to speak about our current project, Meet Luke. This piece began as a 10-minute rehearsed reading in 2017, which developed into a 20-minute piece in 2018, and is currently undergoing script development to a full production. Luke is a 2-foot, 11 inches tall walking frame with slats, scrupsels, and a hatred of cobblestones. That's him behind me, and he's delighted to meet you all today. Despite what his advancing years might suggest, Luke is unwilling to relax into retirement, sick of being uncredited as a supporting actor and not seeing members of his mobility aid community as lead characters. Luke has done what every brave actor does. He created his own show. Meet Luke tells the stories of Luke's journey through life, from surviving the Irish educational system to the perils of dating. Meet Luke is a metaphor for the difficulties people with disabilities face, without mentioning the word disability. Its subject matter is gritty, knotty, and deeply complex. Luke is a powerful ally to the disability rights cause. He refuses to suffer noble silence. He's a winner, and all the more likable for it. Meet Luke's aim is also universal, for audience members to deeply relate, to feel their own stories reflected to them from this production. The piece is easily adapted to suit adult audiences as well as teenage audiences. Meet Luke is performed by Luke and I. Dramaturg is writer, performer, and musician Little Johnny. Production manager Fintan Sweeney. These early development stages were financed by Arts and Disability Ireland, Galway County Council, and Galway City Council, with the support of Town Hall Theatre Galway and Nuns Island Theatre Galway. Further development will be carried out at the Push Plus Different Bodies Lab in Stamsund, Norway, September 2021. Our aim is to stage to full production in autumn 2021. We are inviting funders and co-producers to come on our journey to ensure Luke's story reaches its highest potential. The production will be suitable for touring, as the piece has minimal set and tech requirements. We are also open to start conversations regarding touring nationally and internationally, so please do contact us. We hope to reschedule a rehearsed reading in the future. A recording will be made of that rehearsed reading. Please do contact us if you wish to view it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mairéad. It was great. Thank you. I'm going to ask now Mollie and Ursula from Bombinate Theatre to talk to us about the work in progress Goodnight Egg.
Hi everyone, I'm Ursula McGinn. I'm Mollie Molumby and we are Bombinate Theatre. The word Bombinate means to make a buzzing or humming noise. At Bombinate we encourage children to ask big questions, to make noise and to stay on their own buzz. Founded in 2016, our first show Half Light is for children aged 8+, and our second show Susie and the Story Shredder is for children aged 6+. Both shows premiered at Dublin Fringe Festival before touring nationally, supported by the Arts Council. This year, Bombinate Theatre are artists in residence at Visual Carlo. Today we will be talking to you about our show Goodnight Egg, which is for children aged 3 to 6. So Goodnight Egg is performed by one actor, John Doran, and it incorporates puppetry, miniatures, and music. The show follows a young boy who has a carton of eggs. Each of his eggs has something that they like to do every night before they go to bed. So Pierre here is an artist and likes to paint pictures. Bubbles likes to take a nice long bubble bath. This here is Maureen, who likes to do some exercise. This is Egg, he likes to listen to music before he goes to sleep. And this here is Granny, and she likes to chat on the phone before going to bed. After John puts each of his eggs to bed, then he can go to sleep himself. So the show was set to premiere this year, supported by the Arts Council, but unfortunately it was postponed due to COVID-19. We plan to premiere the show and tour it in 2021. And the show is easily adaptable to social distancing and can be performed in theatres, outdoors, in schools, and in community spaces. The show has a capacity of approximately 50 people, and our touring window is May to August 2021, and we would be delighted to discuss the show further with you if you are interested, and our email is bombinatetheatre@gmail.com. Thank you.
What a double act. Thanks, guys. That was great. Thank you so much. I'm quickly going to move on to invite Jo Cummins from Moonfish Theatre to talk about the brand spanking new Into the World Within.
Thank you so much, Aislinn. I don't have any eggs, I'm really sorry. Hi, I'm Jo, I'm from Moonfish Theatre. We're a Galway-based theatre company creating work in English and Irish that is rooted in the limitless possibilities of the imagination. Moonfish are a collaborative ensemble that blends language, storytelling, music and dance with puppetry, interactive technology and light to create what we aim are exhilarating experiences for our audiences. We create work for young people and adults. Our work has toured all over Ireland, to Europe, the UK and the US. We had planned to be on tour right now, but obviously that couldn't happen. In the current climate, as we're not able to see our audiences face to face, we are creating our latest project, Into the World Within, an audio adventure for children aged 6 and up and their grown-ups, which will be accompanied by workshops empowering children to make their own radio plays at home. When COVID hit, we decided to take this opportunity to explore a world that's always fascinated us, the world of radio drama. We had been approached by Baboró, who were interested in collaborating with us, and the result is a fantastical audio journey devised via Zoom by the Moonfish Ensemble and created, inspired by the extraordinary time we're living through. Into the World Within is a radio drama created without digital sound effects. Instead, these will be created using live Foley art. As part of the Into the World Within package, alongside the drama itself, we are creating online workshops around the making of Into the World Within. These workshops will guide young participants through the world of making Foley art and encourage them to experiment with creating their own radio plays. The technology to do this is widely available, even if you just have a smartphone, and it's a fantastic outlet for creativity in this time of limited live art, with children currently unable to access their usual creative outlets such as orchestras, youth theatres, dance classes. We feel this project is a hugely needed alternative. We've used live Foley in previous productions and the reaction from young audiences was overwhelming. They've been so engaged and fascinated and excited to just run off and create their own after seeing ours. The studio recording of the audio drama will be filmed and available alongside the workshops to allow audiences to witness the creation of the play in the studio. Now, onto the play itself. Into the World Within weaves together present-day Ireland under the cloud of COVID-19 and the fantasy world of our two young protagonists, Alex and Nikki. They are siblings who embark on an extraordinary adventure into a fantastical underworld through a pillow fort in their bedroom. We explore the project's central theme, which deals with change, depression, and upheaval. Through their journey and the challenges along the way, they find a way to deal with what to them is the transformation of a beloved uncle from a visitor full of fun and stories to a distant shadow of his former self. By throwing themselves into an imaginary world of legends and epic adventure, they tackle their desire to fix their uncle and find that stories don't always end the way you expect them to. We took inspiration from the rich culture of Irish myths, song and legend to create a story that really exploits the incredible potential of radio drama to take listeners into another world. As I said, everything's going to be available online at some point towards the end of the year. If you would like to get involved with Into the World Within, you don't even have to leave your house. We aim to release the play on audio channels in hopefully November, and the workshops will be available virtually from the end of November as well. More information and how to get in touch with us is available on our website, moonfishtheatre.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jo, and we're really excited to hear that. Next, I'm going to call on Phil Kingston from the Abbey, who's going to talk to us a little bit about a work in development. I'm going to ask you to be nice and brief, Phil, if you don't mind. I'm trying to make up for some time when I was chatting.
Understood. You are a 14-year-old girl. It is 1950s Ireland rural, somewhere Kerry-ish. You're out for a walk. You've been sent out by your dad because the adults are talking, but you know something's afoot. Pat's Bocock, one of the local travellers who spreads the news from house to house. Sometimes he's reviled, sometimes he's respected. You like him, he's a bit wild, but he's fascinating. But you know there's some bad news. But this isn't really what's on your mind, because you're grieving your best friend. Well, she wasn't really your best friend, you'd only really met her. Scythe, the lovely Scythe who you used to look up to at school, and she's dead now. Well, they say she's dead. You know that she killed herself, but nobody will talk to you about it. And the reason she killed herself is because they were trying to marry her off to that horrible old man, Sean Dota. But now what you've discovered is that your mother has got a letter from another old farmer, and maybe that's what's being talked about, and that's why you've been sent out of the house. That's how Her Side by Cat Woods begins. It's the fourth of our Priming the Canon plays that the Abbey Theatre take out to schools. They are ways into the classics of the Irish canon. This is based on Side by John B. Keane, but they're plays in their own right. We usually take them to schools and we bookend them with pre-show and post-show workshops, which introduce the children to the period and look at some of the themes in the play. They also work very well in venues of up to about 150, and they're very interactive. We were going to do it at Baboro this year, particularly because we wanted to do it to a children's audience, because we work out all the workshops and things like that in development with children. Couldn't do it this year, but we are going to do it soon. It was developed to this point by, first of all, having a reading at the Young at Art Festival. Thanks very much, Aislinn Ó. And then Maisie Lee, hello Maisie, who's in the house at the moment, helped develop to this point. It's going to be a fantastic show. It's really compellingly written by Cat Woods. It will be in schools hopefully next year. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Phil. That's great. Next, I'm going to ask Phillida Eves to talk to us about Hear Our Voice. She's come fresh from an actual live performance.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. So exciting, and I'm so excited, and it's wonderful to have this opportunity with Baboro. Thank you so much. We're in an amazing position where we are considered an essential service. We are in a school for a week. We're in a special school, and we're in the school garden. We have a tent, and we go on a camping adventure. And it's just fantastic. Every day you're on a knife edge, and then we go again. So our audience is for age from 4 to 18 years of age. They're all children with additional needs, children and teenagers. It's wonderful to be in the school. We feel like we're in a community. We see the children looking over the fence and asking when it's going to be their turn. And there's a lovely vibe around the whole school. The whole school is buzzing. It's a camping adventure. We're in the garden outside. We're lucky the school has an orchard. We start off, we pick apples. We have a beautiful musical score. Michael Chang plays the most wonderful music. He's the musical director. And we go around the garden and we collect apples, and then we sit down in the clearing and we find a lake, a little pond, shimmery pond. We go do some fishing. We have a campfire. We cook the fish. And then we're looking over at the beautiful festival tent that's over there, and we bring out, the moon comes up, it's a beautiful Baboró and comes up behind the tent. It's all like shadows. And the night sky comes over, the children crawl in under the night sky, starry night sky, and the stars are twinkling. Michael's playing the most beautiful music, and it's magic. Then in the morning, the birds come out, and we have bird shadow puppets on the back of the tent, and the children just love running around the tent trying to catch them. So we're very fortunate because we can do this in any weather. Yesterday, although the forecast said it was going to be sunny, it was lashing rain, Galway style. So we had to move, the children moved inside the tent. Michael and I were outside under a gazebo, and we didn't go into the tent. We were performing in front of the tent, and the children were in the tent. We just turned it around 180 degrees. So it's all immersive. It all reacts to the children. All my work is developed with a class of children, 6 children with special needs. And we were funded by Galway 2020. The show is called Hear Our Voice. We've toured Galway City and some of Galway County, and we're just so thrilled to be in Baboro this year. It's just such an honour. And the show is available. It goes in the back of my car, and we can go anywhere with a secure garden and some grass. That's all we ask. So thank you so much. It's great to be here and lovely to talk to you. So I can't hear you, Aislinn.
Excuse me, sorry. Thanks so much, Phillida. I was just saying it's great that we've managed to continue your work as your artists in residence in that school, who have approval from the department to be able to continue, and that you're seen as an essential service, which you most certainly are. So thanks so much for that. Next, I'm going to ask Paul Noonan to talk to us about the Electric Kazoo, please, Paul.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Noonan, and I am a musician and songwriter based in Dublin. I've been making music for more than 20 years, mainly as the singer in a band called Bell X1. I've just finished a master's in music therapy at the University of Limerick, and my last placement as part of that course was in a school, a preschool here in the inner city in Dublin, working with children from the ages of 3 to 5. And I was there in week 7 of a 10-week placement in March when lockdown happened, and I was in the school, and we were suddenly told that the school was closing that evening and there would be no school for the foreseeable future. So it was quite a brutal end to the placement there. And I was thinking of ways to try to continue to connect with the children, because of knowing where they were, the part of town where it was, and the difficulties that some of these children had at home without the sanctuary of the school was presenting some difficulties. So I started a Facebook live stream with my own children on Friday afternoons, 3 o'clock for the first 12 weeks of lockdown, just when parents are getting to the end of their tether. 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon seemed like a good time to do it. So I let the school know that this was happening, and a lot of the children who I've been working with were tuning in, and the live stream started to sort of grow legs and became sort of widely watched. We had maybe between 200 and 300 people tuning in from all over the world every week. And on the basis of that, I was approached by the Dublin Fringe Festival to develop it as along with Baboró and with Cork Midsummer Festival, to develop it as a stage show, which I did, and we premiered at the Fringe there about a month ago in Dublin. Just me, without the children. So, as in my own children weren't present, but we played to socially distanced audiences in a theatre in Dublin. So the school was the production evolved somewhat from the initial me in my living room playing well-known songs, making up goofy songs, to soliciting through the box office. We would ask children to send drawings of teddies, of their favorite teddies and what their teddies meant to them, and then I would write songs around that and put up pictures of the teddies at the show and sing the songs, and it's felt like and somewhat of an outlet for children to express certain anxieties that they might be feeling around this moment, and the show is sort of evolving as it goes. It's called the Electric Kazoo because the kazoo, being an easy instrument to play, and was an instrument that's featured heavily in the initial sort of sessions from my own front room, and we make sure that every child gets a kazoo on the way out of the show, and that by continuing to encourage the children to supply the material for the show, I think is a way of feeling them of involving them and having them invested in the show. Unfortunately, this weekend we were to play the Black Box in Galway as part of the Baboro Festival, but we are taking it online, both as we're doing a closed Zoom session with ticket holders, and then the following week we're going to do an open Facebook live stream of the Electric Kazoo. So thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Paul. And there will be further details about that event, which we're just kind of releasing at the moment. So thanks to Paul, and also I see Miquel is on the call from the Barceló brothers. So they've both moved very swiftly to work with us to create some Facebook Live events during the festival as well. So thanks for that. Great. So next I'm going to ask Dan Colley to talk to us about a very own man with enormous wings.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Colley, as Aislinn said, and I'm the director of A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which I adapted for the stage along with the two members of the cast, Manus Halligan and Genevieve Hume-Beeman. Genevieve, you know both of them from lots of things, but Genevieve you might know in particular from Pondling, which was her one-person show which won a Fringe first with Guna Nua, as she also wrote, and also as the co-star in The Lovitz, they called her Vivaldi. A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings was originally presented by Collapsing Horse. Collapsing Horse has now died and gone to the glue factory, but as St. Augustine says, the dead are not absent. It continues on. The show continues on as an independent production with production support and co-production and touring from the Riverbank Arts Centre. So the thing that drew me to this story by Marquez is, although it's subtitled A Tale for Children by him, it's a story that relentlessly resists the reader's efforts to extract some kind of moral lesson from it. As soon as you think he might be telling you something about how we are or how we ought to be, he takes a turn. And what we find is that it's something much more murky and ambiguous, and I think a bit more complex than that. And our adaptation has very much sat into that mood. So with that idea, I went to two actor collaborators who I work with a lot over the years, and we asked ourselves, what kind of weirdos would want to tell this strange story? And we came up with an answer that included us, but also this exciting double act of two performer storytellers. One classic, so it's a classic double act, comic double act. One is a petite, virtuosic storyteller who does all the talking, and that's Genevieve. And then another in Manus, who is this tall, wiry, timid man who's full of this kind of ferocious potential, who embodies the old man with enormous wings at various points. And he says nothing throughout the performance, but operates all of the various levers of the theatrical workings. They are telling this story because it's very, very important to them. And whatever stakes they might be are kind of mysterious to the audience, but they're certainly conveyed. You can tell it's very important to them. An analogy I'm sort of working on at the moment, and let me know if it's wrong, but it's like if you kidnapped the Coen brothers as children and then locked them in a cave for about 30 years, and then like opened up the cave and were like, hey, Coen brothers, what have you been up to? And this, for better or worse, is what they've been up to. So the performance begins with a warning that this show has no lesson, so don't go looking for one. And gradually we begin the story, gradually adding our theatrical tools. So first with just words that create the pictures in your head, then acoustic sounds, blowing on bottles or plucking on strings. Then they get fed into an electric loop pedal, which starts to fill out the sound more and more and create more atmosphere and place. Then these tiny little crudely drawn figurines come out on the tabletop, and then these 3D sets with painted backdrops come out, and little objects that light up start to come out. And then two live video cameras come out, and they start to feed a live projection that's projected onto the blinds in the room that's ahead of us. So creating a kind of a very crude live film that's being created in front of your eyes. And the story that they tell is the story of a young family with a sick baby in a house that's infested with crabs, who one rainy night discover an old man with enormous wings has crash landed in their yard. They can't decide if he's an angel or just a Norwegian with wings. And he shows no interest in doing anything at all, but sitting there and licking his wounds. They put him in the chicken coop, and people come from miles around in search of salvation, in search of healing. A carnival comes to entertain the waiting crowd, and the family start to charge entry to people who want to pluck out his feathers. The only one who seems to take no part in his own spectacle is the old man himself, who takes the cruelty with a kind of a dignity of an old dog. He's this miserable miracle in their midst, and they don't even seem to notice what he is. Eventually, the story builds and the storytelling builds to an ending where, having held back most of our sort of theatrical tools, with a kind of a studied unslickness in the storytelling, in the kind of craft of it, we then unleash all of the tools available to us. So sound, lighting, and visuals come together, and we see the old man's wings for the first time, as Alma Kelleher's bright electric synth melody comes in, and the bass rolls in kind of waves as we see him escaping, as we see him leaving them for the first time. It builds, and it's sort of spectacular in its perfect ordinariness. It seems to have built out of what's there, and yet if you were to summate the parts, it's relatively little. And it just gives the audience time and space to reflect on and sit in that somewhat ambiguous moral and aesthetic mood that we've created with Marquez's story. It premiered in July of last year in the Riverbank Arts Centre, and then in September it was in the Dublin Fringe, and by December of that same year it had already moved to a 3-week run at the Peacock Theatre in Dublin, the second stage at the National Theatre. So we had a busy 2020 ahead of us, including performing at Baboró, which we would have loved to have been doing right now, and also at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe at the Summer Hall. That's the word. It's for 8 to 10-year-olds, but in fact, I think it's for 7 to 10-year-olds, but it can play a bit older. We had programmers who like to program daytime shows and weekend shows for families and schools, but then also trying out older shows where there would be a mix of audiences, and indeed sometimes entirely adult audiences. For me, the sweet spot of this show is young person between 7 and 10 or even 11, and an adult person that they can sit together in that ambiguous space together and get different things about it, and that conversation continues into the foyer and on the way home. For me, that's the sort of sweet spot of this show. There's information through the delegate section of the Baboró of the Baboró website if you want to contact us. There's also a pretty good video recording of it that a number of presenters have looked at, and it's given them the confidence to present it on that basis. So our 21 is filling up, and we would love to speak to you about presenting it for your audiences in your venue. I'll stop now. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dan, for that. I'm so sorry that I've kind of let us run over time a little. I'm not a very good chair, obviously, but I'm going to call, just ask you to hold on for another few minutes and call on Paul Curley, last but by no means least artist, to tell us about his show, The Dig.
Hello, hello, all the lovely people. Thanks for bearing with us. Lovely to see you all. My name is Paul Curley. I'm a theatre artist with expertise in making and performing theatre for young audiences. This is my 5th time with a show at Baboró over the past 10 years. With Barnstorm Theatre Company, I presented Jack in 2010 and The Song from the Sea in 2012. More recently then, Black Beauty in 2018 with Redbridge Arts from Scotland, and my own work, Bake, in 2015, and now The Dig 2020. So the reason I mention that is because I think those presentations have really shaped and informed the kind of work that I make and the kind of artist I am. I would describe the theatre I make as engaging, original, and collaborative. I work closely with designers, directors, technicians, venue directors, and audiences all the time. Today, I'm here to talk specifically about The Dig. My poster managed to stay up there. It came down, made a little merry dance. Made in collaboration with designer Ger Clancy and director Robert Allen Evans, The Dig delves into the world of archaeology. The action follows the antics of junior archaeologist Mac, who has a propensity to get lost in stories, which is unfortunate in a world where facts and figures mean so much more than fairy tale and fantasy. Despite his best efforts, Mac's dig doesn't provide anything significant, much to the dismay of his boss, Linda, who retorts, as we say in archaeology, we start at the top and work our way down. And so when Mac hits rock bottom, cue heart-wrenching song. He remembers the stories his grandmother used to tell him when he was little and he would visit her in her house in the woods. These moments of memory lead him on a trail to making a very significant archaeological discovery. Spoiler alert, it involves a wolf. The dig celebrates the power and place of stories in our lives. It is an homage to grandparents and their unique ability to instruct and inspire young children through their wit, their wisdom, and most importantly, their stories. The dig is a delightful theatre experience for children 6+, a poetic and lyrical piece with a heartfelt story. But don't just take my word for it, the reviews are in. These are some reviews children wrote after seeing the show in Newbridge last year. I thought the dig was really good, funny and creative. I liked how the actor was playing 2 characters at once. That's Lara, 8 years old. One of the funniest plays I've ever seen. I hope there's a second part to it. Kevin, 9 years old. Oh, thanks, Kevin. And a teacher wrote from Newbridge, "This is one of the best shows my class has seen. A wonderful, funny, yet poignant story, so educational and creative. Would highly recommend." Oh, thank you, miss. So the presentation of the show is supported by a bespoke educational resource pack for teachers. The practical nuts and bolts of the show, I'll give you a little insight there. This is a 1-person show. It's 45 minutes long with no interval. The target audience is 6+. Company on the road consists of 3 people, a performer, stage manager, and relighter. The show requires a minimum of just 6 hours call for get-in, fit-up, and tech prior to performance. Due to the intimate nature of the storytelling and performance of the show, the capacity is set, the maximum capacity is set at 200, although it's negotiable. And also I'm totally open to performing and presenting in alternative spaces, be it schools, outdoor playgrounds, museums, park, in light of recent changes. The dig producer Richie O'Sullivan is happy to discuss any potential presentation opportunities and can be contacted at richieosullivan.arts@gmail.com. Or if you want to email me and talk about the show, it's pixiepaul@gmail.com. As an independent theatre artist, also, it's important for me to mention that there are a number of vital supports that make my work possible. So the dig is supported by the Arts Council of Ireland, Roscommon Arts Centre, Draocht, Irish Theatre Institute, Baboró, and Culture Ireland. Along with, finally, Chantal from Fidget Feet, I have been selected to present a spotlight at this year's iPay Showcase in Place, which is taking place online from now until the 15th of November. So I may see some of you there in the virtual marketplace or on the Attendify app. Just check out Showcase in Place and search for The Dig. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Thanks so much, Paul. Great. I'm going to just ask, Kieran, would you like to say anything from Culture Ireland very briefly?
Very briefly, I'm going to do what I tell everybody else not to do, which is gabble and talk really quickly. So I just wanted to, 3 things really. I wanted to thank the artists so much for joining us today. As Shona mentioned, resilience and creativity and flexibility. And once again, I take my hat off to you for showing us the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of all your presentations today. Can I also thank the internationals in particular who have joined us on the call today. I see people from Imaginate, from Contact, and from Esplanade. We would like nothing more to be welcoming you in person here in Ireland. We know that when you come here, you see great work and relationships are developed and formed. So we would like you to be coming back to us as soon as possible. And if you'd like to talk to us at Culture Ireland about your plans for programming any Irish work next year, we'd be very happy to talk to you. And just finally, thanks to Baboro, to Aisling, to Jennifer and the team here for dealing with a situation that they couldn't have envisaged. That for the internationals who may not be aware, the Irish government moved the level of restriction for COVID on Monday evening, which meant a substantial rethink of what the festival was on Monday afternoon at 12 noon and what it ended up being today at 12 noon. So thank you to them, and thank you for facilitating this to keep the connections open, and we should all stay as connected as possible. Thanks a million. Oh, and sorry, one more thing. Could I just say, as Paul said, we are co-hosting with Baboro
iPay's event at Baboró, which is on Friday, the 16th of October, online at 3 o'clock. The details are on the iPay website, which is ipayweb.org. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Kieran. And yeah, thank you again. I just echo what he said. Looking at the screen and hearing about those shows, it's like having a gorgeous box of chocolates in front of you and you just can't reach out and eat any of them or enjoy any of them. I so wish that, as I say, that we had you all here in Galway, having the crack, seeing the shows, having the chats, but that'll have to happen another time. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for bearing with us. Thanks to the artists. I know it's a really difficult platform to talk into the ether in your spare room. So I really appreciate you coming along on the journey with us. We do have other events on during the week and next week as well. Check out our website. There's a fantastic conference, Talking TYA, which we're partnering with Branner and NUIG and University of Ulster on. And we also have more events next week as well. We have a talk on diversity, we have in the arts, and we have that iPay watch party as well. I'm just seeing Linda O'Shea Farron would like to say something very, very briefly, Linda, if that's okay, and we'll let everybody go.
Hi, Aislinn. I'm from the Contemporary Music Centre, and you know, I'm listening in on this, absolutely fascinated. Just wondering whether you're including nursing homes in any way in your festival, because there are a lot of people in nursing homes have grandchildren. And if you could, I just feel if you could combine, this is just a suggestion totally off the top of my head, if you could combine somehow beaming into the nursing homes any of your events. A lot of times they're fascinated by anything to do with children, even if it's not their own grandchildren.
That's a great suggestion. It's not something that we've managed to organise so far for this year, but we're innovating as we go, so you never know, we might manage to pull it off, but certainly it's a great suggestion for the future. Thank you so much for that, Linda. I'm going to let everybody go because it's we've run over time. Thank you again, and see you on another Zoom and hopefully in person before too long. Bye bye.